doing something like a Camino, setting aside a time intentionally to go on pilgrimage, just to go out for a walk, and to do so knowing that God is walking with you is a powerful thing.
That's part of the beauty of being transformed on the Camino, and it happens all the time. If you truly go on the Camino, or any pilgrimage for that matter, like you explained, and you really say, God, help me figure out what I want to be, and you walk that 30 days or that 15 days or 10 days, and you allow your heart to be open and your mind to be open, you will be forever changed.
Peace and blessings. Welcome back to another episode of Purposely Catholic. Bobby,
Yes.
you ever been on a pilgrimage that's taken you 30 days to complete?
I have not. I wish, but I have not. Not yet.
One of my favorite things that we used to do in seminary, we would start every year, and every seminary does it a little differently, but we'd start every year with a silent retreat. And it was like a week long. And going into it, especially my first year, I was, how am I going to stay silent for 7 days? I'm not much of a talker to begin with, but 7 days silent retreat. The only two times you could talk was at Mass and during your 1 hour spiritual direction every day. People do like an Ignatian retreat, which is 30 days. There's a lot of different ways to experience God and to kind of give yourself room for God to work in your life. Joining us on today's episode is TJ Bogan. TJ is the founder of Follow My Camino. Earlier, I called it Find My, Follow My Camino. TJ, welcome to Purposely Catholic.
Hey guys, thank you. How's it going?
It's good reconnecting with you. We first connected at Seek earlier this year, a different experience where young people come together to make time for God. Great reconnecting with you here today. What do you got new and exciting? We want to talk about what Follow My Camino is. Could you tell people a little bit about how you came up with this initiative, what it is?
Yeah, so Follow My Camino is all about getting people on the Camino de Santiago in Spain and walking to the tomb of St. James. After watching the movie The Way with Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez, a buddy of mine, my business partner, Jeff, we were like, we need to do this. And then that didn't happen for a long time. And then we finally did it. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to do the Camino in a more Catholic way, and putting things around in terms of logistics and Mass and everything else. So I came back home and I started Follow My Camino, and really it was about the fact that when you tell someone you're on your Camino and you're sharing pictures, they're following you, right? So they're following my Camino internally, and so it was really about just making people see what you're going through and the experience that you're having, and allowing them to see the transformation that you're going through as you go through the 30 days that Bobby's talking about that he wants to go on with us. Can't wait for that. And then just being able to experience that. And then making it more Catholic, right? Bringing the Catholicity to it, bringing the Mass to it, bringing silent, being in silent and reflective time, contemplativeness to it. And really that's kind of where we started, and we're just going strong. So yeah, it's great.
Had you been on a Camino prior to starting Follow My?
I went on the Camino myself. I'd been on silent retreats like you had talked about. And so I really already had an idea of what pilgrimages were. And when I went on my Camino, I really had a very transformative time. I got injured. I ended up having 2 knee surgeries afterwards. And so I went through some aches and pains on that Camino, and you find yourself praying a lot. You find yourself soul searching on where you want to be, what you want to be, who you want to be, all that good stuff. And that self-reflectiveness that we have, and really just finding time with other pilgrims, meeting people along the way, some Catholic, some non-Catholic, sharing our faith, sharing our life stories. And yeah, it was great. And that's what I wanted people to be able to experience, and do it in a more Catholic way where we're more purposeful about being Catholic. So yeah.
Every time I hear Camino, I just keep thinking about the car I almost bought that I didn't, that the truck car combo with the nice engines in them. But on a more serious note, for those who don't really know what the Camino is, Can you explain it, like how there's a difference, there's shorter and longer, and the kind of the different routes? Just give us kind of a breakdown about how it got started, a little bit of the history, because I think a lot of people, they've heard it, but they just kind of pretend like they know what we're talking about. But can you give us the nuts and bolts about what it actually is?
Yeah, so the Camino de Frances route, which is the main typical route, starts in Saint John in France and goes all across Spain. And the idea is that when Saint James left, right, one of Jesus' three amigos, as we like to say, and he went and spread Christianity across Spain, he would have gone along this northern route, and sometimes more maybe on the coastline, and then a lot of times inland. And so the Camino Frances is really to follow the foot of St. James, right? And to have gone from France and then over. And actually, people start way back beyond France and do the Camino. I know a guy that walked for 120 days, so all the way from Germany. And so really, it really comes down to the main route, which is the Camino Frances. And that has been walked for over 2,000 years. And so it's in sections. A lot of people can't take off 30 days from work or 30 days from life, so they do it in sections. So you'll hear about the smaller one, which is from Sarria. It's 100 kilometers versus the full Camino, which is 500 kilometers or 800 kilometers, about 500 miles. And that Camino Frances, there are other routes that have been added as the years go on, and people find different ways and to get to Santiago. Santiago is where the tomb of St. James is at, so they call it the Camino de Santiago. And then you go from there to what they would have called the end of the earth or the end of the world, because back then the world was flat, right? And so they would have went to a town called Muxia. That is also in the movie, from the movie The Way. And they would have went out there where the lighthouse is now and gone out to what they thought was the end of the world, preaching Christianity along the way. So a lot of people will not only do the Camino Frances and do the full Camino or portions of it, they'll also go out and go visit the end of the world, and then come back to Santiago and experience that. And then there's other routes coming to Portugal, a northern route on the north part of Spain. So there's quite a few routes that everybody takes now. But 2,000 years ago, that wouldn't be the case.
I know some of the benefits, obviously you're going to get a pilgrimage, but I love the aspect about being, number one, out in nature, but also being with a group of people, but walking. So much we're so sedentary in our lifestyle now. It's like we're sitting down all the time. And I love, I know it's on your website, that St. Augustine's quote of "solved by walking" was one of his famous statements. And there's a truth to that. I know it personally in my own life. I did this kind of like a pilgrimage thing I did. It's called 75 Hard, but I made it spiritual, more Catholic, even though it's a secular thing. But it was 45 minutes every day of walking in silence without my headphones. And I found those 45 minutes to be so beneficial to my spiritual life, because I was able to, number one, be out in nature. Number two, not be inundated with hearing or listening to things, or just me and God and my thoughts. What are some of the benefits that you've seen personally in your life, or maybe some testimonies from people that have gone on this pilgrimage, the El Camino, by the walking? Because I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to walk. That's too much work. I just want to sit and drink cocktails and things like that and just, go, church to church. But what have you found the benefits of actually going out and doing this pilgrimage while you're walking?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that most people experience is some sort of transformation, right? There's a book by Transformation in Christ, Dietrich von Hildebrand, and really that is really what we're looking for, right? Is to be transformed into Christ. And when you're walking in silence, or you're walking in a group with silence, that is what happens. You will be forever changed in some way, some fashion, right? I think the biggest thing, I'll start with myself. The biggest thing was just being able to reflect of where I am and where I want to be, and how I want to come home and really change some habits, right? For a lot of people, they're soul searching. A lot of people are hurting. They're going for a healing. They need that quiet time, that contemplative time. And so there are people that walk solo. Our thing is that with walking with people in a group setting, it allows you to have all of that. You can hang out in the back of the group line, in the group walking, and have that silence. And then 2 hours later, you start interacting with people and you're sharing your thoughts, or you're sharing what you just saw in nature. And that tends to really transcend more to the group having a greater experience, but also the individual, finding peace in what they are, or who they are with other Catholics, right? And especially since we take predominantly a larger group of Catholic people, we're always living that in our faith, whether it's going through daily mass or the hours in the morning or compline at night. And then just being able to be together and share that like faith. We do the rosary together. Probably mid-morning, we do the Divine Mercy Chaplain in the afternoon. We have quiet time. We have mass on the grass at times. Sometimes we're going to mass in the buildings. And it really just allows for people to be forever changed in some way, some fashion. And I'll give you a couple of examples. We had one person who had lost their husband, and she had said, well, my kids are telling me that, I need to go do something and I need to go find myself. And they meant like, go be busy in the world, right? Like go volunteer at the YMCA and go to the Red Cross. And what she really wanted was she wanted to find her inner peace again. She just lost her best friend, right? And her kids are grown and they're wonderful kids, but she really needed to re-find herself. And so she went on the trip and she found that right there. And since then, she's walked with us again and really had said that, what she found in that time of silence and that time of being in nature, which God truly is all around us, right, in nature, was allowing her to be able to say, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And I don't always have to have the answer right away. I don't need to just wake up tomorrow and start volunteering at something or doing something. She could just be, right? Which is kind of that 75 hard you're talking about, is learning how to be in silence, how to be in prayer, how to have your own thoughts. And sometimes they're God's thoughts, right? And you think they're your own thoughts and you're working through that. And that's why we love the quote, it is solved by walking. If you truly go on a Camino or any pilgrimage for that matter, like you explained, and you really say, God, help me figure out what I want to be. And you walk that 30 days or that 15 days or 10 days, and you allow your heart to be open and your mind to be open, you will be forever changed. And that's what we love about the Camino. And there's a million stories that go along with that. Guys walking for their grandsons we had a guy who walks with us and his grandson almost died. And he's like, Lord, I'm going to go on this pilgrimage. And if you save my grandson, I will forever do whatever you ask me to do. And he has just been knee deep in the faith and in his church and his community, all because he had that transformation. And he's gone on 4 Caminos with us now, and he just loves it. He loves being able to reflect on his family and his wife and his kids and his grandkids, but then also being able to find himself in those moments of silence. So yeah, it's great.
That's a beautiful story there because, I'm sure it resonates with, I speak from my own experience, but it resonates with us. We're so inundated in the stresses of the world, the rigors, the activity, keeping up with the schedules, that doing something like a Camino, setting aside a time intentionally to go on pilgrimage, just to go out for a walk and to do so knowing that God is walking with you, it is so countercultural.
Right.
Because God delights, we tend to think if we're going through something in life that we have to do something more to get out of where we are.
Yeah.
There has to be a person I have to talk to. There's got to be a pill I have to take. There's got to be a routine I've got to adopt. And sometimes those are good things. But just taking the time to be with God, who delights not in our product, but in our presence, is a powerful thing. And so something like the Camino gives us an opportunity to do that. Pilgrimages in general do, but this one in particular.
Yeah, I mean, when you're walking for however many days it is, and you see these beautiful churches that no one even knows about, right? And you see saints on the walls, and you come in, and you're just like, how blessed am I? And for anyone, right, Catholic or non-Catholic, how blessed am I to know that there is someone else in the world that can love me, right? Besides my friends or my immediate circle, right? The nucleus around us. And when you find that with other people on the Camino, and then you see it post Camino, which I do all the time, we put a WhatsApp group for every single group that walks. We have groups from 2 years ago. They're wishing each other happy birthday. People are getting married and they're like, hey, can I come to the wedding? That bond that you experience through a Camino is like a fraternity bond, right? Or sorority bond. It can almost never be broken unless you want to break it, right? And that's an experience that they all have, and they all come from different parts of the U.S. they may never see each other again, but they can reach out on the phone and say, hey, I thought about you today, brother, or I'm praying for you, or please pray for me, or whatever. That's part of the beauty of being transformed on the Camino. And it happens all the time to be able to say, I had my own time, I found what I needed, but I found all these other people in the same boat as me that were walking for a purpose, walking for something to have more Catholicity in their life. And they truly do find it on the Camino.
It's funny that you mentioned it's like a fraternity, because actually in my fraternity, that was one of the things that really helped gel us together. Was during Hell Week, they dropped all 35 of us off. They blindfolded us and drove us 15 miles away and dropped us off in the middle of nowhere. We had no idea where we were at. So we had to kind of figure out how to get back to the house. But that wasn't just about that. It was trying to force us into working together, to walking.
Yeah.
And I remember just being at the front of the line and the back of the line, just getting to know guys that, our class was big and we had a big house. So just spending time with our pledge brothers to try to find out a little bit more than, hey, where are you from, and things like that. So I do know personally how those kind of trips, those walks, it's different than just hanging out at a party together, or, after church having donuts and talking to somebody. But when you're actually walking together on a common purpose, working together, it can really gel people together. So I can totally understand where you're coming from with the people for the WhatsApp to keep it going, because you form these relationships and these bonds.
Yeah, it's really great. And the other thing about that I love, I mean, truly, truly love, is that, one of the things is the Camino will provide, but the Camino provides because humanity provides, right? And God provides that through us, right? And so one of the things is we were at a place and I didn't have a towel and I needed to shower and I had to use some other guy's towel. And then we're all men in the place together, the albergue together. But it's like, you will just naturally help people, right? You will see the goodness in humanity come through because everybody's going through the same thing. Everybody's walking long hours. Everybody's eating pretty much the same type of food or the same places. And we're all marching towards the same place, which is to the foot of St. James. And that commonality and that sense of we're doing this for a greater purpose just bonds humanity like nothing else. And that is that fraternal bond, right? And it can only be broken if you want it to be broken, of course. But we've experienced such joy, people coming back and walking more than one time with us, and just loving the Camino, always talking about the Camino, wishing us well, sending letters to other people that are walking, almost like a chirp-like thing where, it's like, oh yeah, hey, good luck on your Camino. And by the way, here's something I wrote. We've got people that have written songs. They've written letters for people. It's just an awe-inspiring thing that just keeps giving, right? It's just God giving every day.
So you mentioned taking different groups with you. You said that you're taking a group of seminarians. Is that the case?
Yeah. So not only do we have the Follow My Camino, we have the Camino Pilgrim Foundation, which is where we put brothers, sisters, and seminarians on the Camino for free. So we had a brother walk with us this May. And so he is with, I always mess it up. He's with the Knights of the Eucharist, EWTN. I think that's it. And then, so he walked with us, and then we had 4 guys just walk a couple weeks ago. They just got done, actually. They just got done last week, actually. And so they're from St. Paul and Minneapolis. And so we had seminarians walk with them, or walking with us, and they were doing the Del Norte, which happens to be one of the harder routes on the northern part of Spain. One of the seminarians actually walked for 45 days. He met the rest of the guys up on the Del Norte, and he started over in Barcelona and just walked all over the place. And it was such a great thing to do. For next year, we've got 21 military guys coming from the Arch Military Services that are walking. And then we've got another priest who is doing a disciple Camino, a discipleship Camino, where they're doing the full Camino. The first half of the Camino, they're going to learn how to be disciples of Christ. They're going to learn how to witness to people and really use what they're learning in seminary out in the real world. And then the second half of the Camino, they invite someone to come to the Camino, and then they work on those discipleship skills. And so at the end of the day, when we get to Santiago, they've had their alone time, they've had their discipleship training, and then they've been able to disciple to not only the people that they're bringing, but to everyone along the Camino. So it's really a great thing. And that's all happening through the Camino Pilgrim Foundation, where, it takes donations to get these guys on the Camino. But we're really inspired to make brothers and sisters and seminarians, those that are really seeking a vocational life, to not have to worry about money, right? And to be able to go do this. And, there's a lot of other donation, other organizations out there that do things. But for us to put these people on the Camino and say, we want you to go walk with Christ. We want you to go to see the tomb of St. James, and we're going to pay your way. Man, the joy on their face is just far none. Just you can't even experience it, right? It's like goosebumps when they just are just so thankful to have been able to go on this trip. Just like the guys that we had go this year, it's a wonderful adventure. So yeah, it's great.
How can people who, let's say we have priests, brothers, religious sisters, seminarians who are interested, how can they connect with you on that?
Yeah, they just have to go to the CaminoPilgrimFoundation.org. Priests go for free. So we don't do anything with priests besides say, please come and do mass and do confessions and pray with us. So all priests go for free. Deacons go for half off. And all the seminarians and sisters, anyone that's in discernment, right, hasn't been consecrated yet, right, or ordained, they get to go for free. But they go through the foundation. But normally all priests and all deacons go, well, deacons go for half off, but all the priests go for free. And we really are looking for priests to come with us on any of the Caminos at any time of the year, because we really want people to be able to have the Mass, especially if it's a group that we can't always walk with, if we have, more than one group and we're kind of splitting things up. And so we really want priests to be a part of this. And priests shouldn't have to worry about funding that trip. And the congregation that they may come from or the community that they come from should not have to have that fee passed on to them. So everything is completely free for these guys. There's no passing it on to parishioners if they want their priest to go. The priests just go for free.
Awesome. So Bobby and I get ordained. We get half off. You hear that, Bobby?
There you go. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
That's what I mean, ordained a deacon. It's too late on the other train.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, before you came on, you were telling us a little bit. You've already done 14 this year, you said, but you have this extra cool thing coming up with the canonization of Blessed Carlo Acutis coming up. Tell us a little bit about that. And I'm excited for you, so I want to hear about it.
Yeah, that's really, really exciting this year. So I actually leave on Thursday, but we have a group leaving tomorrow. They'll arrive in Rome, and we're partnered with JMJ Youth Pilgrimages. And so between the two entities, they are doing the Rome portion. So for the first 5 days, they're going to go do all the holy doors, go see St. John the Lateran, St. Paul outside the walls, all that good stuff. And then we're taking them to the general audience that the Pope is having on September 6th. And then on the 7th is the canonization of Carlos Acutis. So then we will pick them up on the 8th, and then we will take them up to Assisi. So not only do they get the canonization, they get all the holy doors and all of Rome and all its glory and gelato and food and everything else. Then we're going to take them up to Assisi, and we're going to spend a whole entire day in Assisi. So they're going to go to St. Francis. They're going to go up to the Hermitage. They'll see St. Clare, and then they get to see Carlos. Carlos is down the way a little bit, and he's there. And then the next day we start walking. And so we're doing a small pilgrimage this year. It's only a 5-day Camino. They're walking from Assisi to Spoleto. And then when they get done in Spoleto, then they'll go back to Rome, and then they fly home from Rome. But it's really to round out the canonization of Carlos Acutis, right? And to really be able to celebrate that as Catholics and as people that want to really show, the dedication for these saints, for all saints, right? For all canonization. And what better way than to go to the canonization and then go on this Camino and be able to see him and go see Carlos there, and then go see the other saints along the way. So it's going to be a great trip. And that'll be offered, all of next year as well. We'll continue to do this with JMJ, where we partner on the Rome and then the pilgrimage. And we'll add on more length where they can do either a 5 or 10 or 15 day. They can walk from Assisi to Rome next year. But because of the canonization, we knew we needed to spend a lot more time focused on that. So this year we're just doing a small Camino, but next year it'll be open for all the distances.
That's awesome.
I was fortunate enough to spend about a month in Assisi. If God in some way is placing it on your heart to go and experience something like this, I mean, I can't recommend doing Assisi enough. there was just, it's very evident that the power that Jesus was able to manifest through Saint Francis, for him to be a channel of peace and of the Holy Spirit, still exists in that city until today.
Oh,
And
it's amazing.
if that's something that you're searching for in your life, to do something like that, to spend some time in Assisi, if you can at some point in your life, it's it's a really moving, powerful experience.
Yeah, we were just there in March, and we were able to go up to the Hermitage, and there wasn't a lot of people there, and we spent a couple of hours up at the Hermitage, and it's just so it's just so mind-boggling to realize that he had this vision, right? This God-given vision to say, "Hey, build this place up on the mountaintop where it overlooks this beautiful Umbria Valley and all of nature," right? I mean, again, St. Francis, and it is just so wonderful. And I talked to the priest that runs the hermitage there, and it's kind of like on a first come first basis. There's no, "Hey, I want to come next July. Can I book it?" It's, "Hey, you book a month before you come, and we'll let you know if there's room." And so it's always been on my pipe dream to be able to go and spend a week at the Hermitage and just live like St. Francis. How awesome would that be? I mean, we already do that when we walk the Camino anyways, walking in nature and being in nature, but just to be up in that mountaintop and to just go to mass every day and just reflect on that. What a beautiful experience that would have been. So yeah, Assisi's beautiful. It's just quiet, contemplativeness, being a little bit more reserved as a city, even though it has St. Francis and St. Clair and Carlos there. It is just a beautiful, beautiful place. So you got lucky to spend a month there, man. That's awesome.
It was definitely a blessing. Bobby and I talk about, at some point, God willing, doing pilgrimages ourselves to lead people to some of these places that we've gone to, because this podcast is sponsored by our parish here, and for so many of us who are probably watching, listening, our impression of Catholicism is that which we know in
Mm-hmm.
our daily lives. So to be able to step out of that and to realize that this faith that we profess and that we share is global and it stretches back into history, it really puts things in perspective for you. You can go to places like this and actually be where St. Francis was, to be where St. James was, to go to the Holy Land and to walk in the footsteps of Jesus himself, Mary, and the apostles. So that alone gives you perspective and then a depth to your faith that you can't really replicate. You can somewhat get a taste of it, but to be there really is incomparable. And so it's something that we would like to start doing. It's awesome that you're getting to do that. So if maybe somebody's watching, again, listening, you've gone on pilgrimage, you've gone on Camino, drop us a comment. Let us know what that experience was like. Where did you go? Would you recommend it? What did you get out of it? For you, TJ, what do you try to do to prepare people so they're going into a pilgrimage, they're going into a Camino with the right expectations, preparation of heart, preparation of mind, so that they can get the most out of it?
Yeah, so we have a pilgrim pack that we give everyone. So they get a water bottle, they get to pick a t-shirt that's on our website. But I think one of the two greatest things that we give them is we give them access to Hallow. So we give them a year subscription to Hallow that they can dive into. And we get this question all the time: is how do I prepare spiritually for the Camino? And that's a really broad answer, right? Well, go to prayer. You obviously want to go on a Camino for a reason. It came up in your vernacular some way. So pray about it, right? Pray what time, when you want to go, what route you want to go, all those things. But we give people Hallow. The other thing we give them access to is Verbum. And Verbum is from logos.com. And so the Verbum is the Catholic portion of that. And we have, I think, about 20 books that we have procured separately or independently within Verbum that we give them access to. And they're all about St. Ignatius and preparation, contemplativeness, and they're all about just getting in that mindset of, I'm going to go on a pilgrimage. I'm going to give myself to this pilgrimage and being ready to expect that anything and everything can happen. I could get hurt. I could be tending to someone else who is hurt, right? I could not find what I want until after the Camino is over, right? A lot of people have this expectation that they're going to find this transformation right away. And sometimes it's months, it might be, a year from now, where they realize the Camino prepared me for this. We've got a guy who's just got out of school at Purdue, and he's in the military in the Space Force. And he went on the Camino with us, and then he led one for us. And he was like, God had a purpose for me to go on the Camino a year ago. And here it is, I'm leading the Camino. And what an experience that it was. And he got to do it with his girlfriend, who's now going to be his wife. And that discernment that he had, it was part of the Camino, right? Is, do I want to be married? Do I want to be single? Do I want to be a priest? Like, all of that happened while he was on the Camino. And now, transcend a year later, he just proposed to his girlfriend. They're going to get married next year. He's getting in the service. And all of that, not just because of the Camino, but because of God and because of everything that's going on in his life, help prepare him for that. And so we really love helping people even after their journey to figure out what do they need. So by giving them Hallow, by giving them Verbum, by having priests go with us on the Camino, to be their confessor daily if they need it, whatever the case may be, to do the hours in the morning, the hours in the afternoon, that all just comes together. So it's not just preparing before, but it's also while we're on the Camino and then after the Camino. So yeah, but the tools that we give them are Hallow and Verbum. And then we meet with everyone every month before their trip to just kind of go through logistics and whatnot. And these conversations come up a lot of, well, what should I read? We give them a journal to help people who might have, that frontal lobe, like, I need to write everything down. So they get a Camino journal from us. We give them all the tools that they can to help them through that spiritual journey. They get a rosary. If they didn't have one, they get one. And so, yeah, we give them everything we can. We just throw the book at them.
It's awesome. So for those who are interested in possibly following one of your Caminos, what's the best way to get in contact with you, your website? Give us your socials and all that stuff so they can go and check it out for themselves.
Yeah, followmycamino.com. They can go on Instagram, Follow My Camino. Jeff, our marketing guy, he's always putting stuff up there. Every trip that we go on, we have a photo album, and we are always pulling photos down from there and posting them on Instagram so people can see all the different types of trips and all the different routes. And as we go to a CC coming up here this week, and then the other Caminos that we have, there will be people posting on there as well. So yeah, but followmycamino.com. They just go out there and say, hey, I'm interested, fill out a quick form. We add them to an info night. I sit at my house at 10 o'clock at night, whatever time we got to be on the phone, and we do a Zoom call, and we just kind of give them a little PowerPoint presentation about what is the Camino, what to expect, and then they sign up from there. We create custom groups, which has been really, really popular. Somebody knows somebody who wants to go, and they know a priest. And so somebody will say, hey, me and my friend want to go. And then we'll be like, okay, well, do you want us to find a priest, or do you have a priest? So like, well, let me go reach out to Father Phil. And the next thing you know, we got a whole big Camino group going, and it starts out with 5 people and ends up being 20. So those are great. So we do custom trips. Plus we have all of our canned trips online, and we'll be pushing out everything for 2026 here shortly as well on the new website that we're going out to. And then for the foundation, they would just go to CaminoPilgrimFoundation.org. If they were a sister, or a brother, or a priest, or a deacon, and they can go to that website as well.
That's excellent. Well, thanks, TJ, for taking the time. Also, if you're interested in a little bit more of a conversation, he was a guest on The Catholic Couple. We'll link that here in the show notes of some other stories that he told, and you can go a little bit deeper, and we'll share all that in the description below. So we do appreciate you taking the time, TJ. We finally got to hook up. We had some mishaps. And
I can't wait to see you guys. Seek. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Seek in Columbus. We will see you there.
All right. Perfect. God bless.
All right.
And if you enjoyed this conversation, please be sure to share, like, follow, all that good stuff that helps the algorithm, helps us cast the light of Christ into the everyday that we experience. And purposelycatholic.com and at purposelycatholic on Instagram and on YouTube. Take care. God bless.